This past Saturday, June 7th, we witnessed what most would consider an upset in the sport of boxing. Miguel Cotto making history to become the first Puerto Rican four-time world champion by beating Sergio Martinez via TKO victory. I call this one a upset because, many believed, including myself, that due to this being Miguel Cotto's first time fighting at 160 and his tendency to swell and his face to kind of bust up when he get punched, that this was just going to be bad news for him, that, he had really gotten in over his head with fighting a dynamic fighter like Sergio Martinez. Martinez coming into the fight, the legitimate middleweight champion of the world, dynamic, southpaw, nice jab, nice straight left, popping combinations. Wasn't able to do any of that against Miguel Cotto. What we witnessed couldn't have been further from the truth. A lot of people predicted that Miguel Cotto was gonna have a tough fight on his hands, that he was gonna, be walking into jabs and straight lefts all night. But, him and Freddie Roach had a really good game plan. They really scouted their man. They noticed some fundamental flaws in Sergio Martinez, and Freddie Roach even said in the lead up to the fight, he's a good athlete, but he's not a good boxer, and Miguel Cotto proved that. He landed that straight left hook over Martinez's low lead hand time after time after time after time, and Martinez had to have a seat. He found himself on the canvas 3 times in the first round, 4 times throughout the entire fight. He just couldn't, he couldn't mount any offense. He couldn't establish his superior size in the fight. And he actually, to me, looked like the much smaller man. I always believe that when you're the taller fighter, you're supposed to fight tall and, keep all of your advantages. And he didn't do that so much. He found himself crouched down, and more so bringing himself to a similar height of Cotto, which played right into Miguel Cotto's hands, allowing him to come forward right past that jab. And, like I said, land that stiff jab, land that overhand left hook, popping him with the combinations, really breaking his man down. Ultimately, his cornerman not letting him, Martinez that is, not letting him come out to make the 10th round, which is ironic because that was the round that Martinez predicted that he would stop Miguel Cotto. You got to give it up to him and take your hat off to Martinez. After the fight, HBO analyst Max Kellerman tried to, I guess, kind of bait him into saying that it was his knees that gave him problems, and he wouldn't have any of it. He gave Miguel Cotto all of his props. He let the fans know, no, I got caught cold, in the first round with a good left hook, and I just, couldn't recover from it. And I mean, it's a sport full of tough guys, and you'd like to see someone have some humility in that form and say, you got to know how to win and you got to know how to lose. I lost this one fair and square, which he did, got his ass kicked. Before this fight, I think that I was a little iffy on Miguel Cotto fighting at the heavier weight classes because he didn't seem to always be able to, carry his power up with him, the power that I'm used to seeing him knock guys out at 140 and 147. And after I saw this fight, I started to think to myself, maybe it wasn't that his power wasn't carrying over. Maybe he was draining himself to make 147 and 154, and 160 is maybe where he's supposed to be. Who knows? We'll have to see moving forward. But now that Martinez is out of the way, the next big question is, what's next for Miguel Cotto? You got Gennady Golovkin, you got Canelo, and you also have a potential rematch with Floyd Mayweather. He definitely made his case that that Miguel Cotto would be a tough fight for anybody campaigning at 154 and 160. I would definitely like to see it. I think that if I have to predict what the next move is going to be, just because that fight was already on the table, I would have to say that they're going to go with Canelo next. That's a really easy fight that can be made. Canelo is still relatively unseasoned to me, especially when you put him in the ring with the likes of a Miguel Cotto. And that Miguel Cotto that destroys Sergio Martinez, as I said before, is going to give anybody problems. You got a traditional Mexican versus Puerto Rican war. You got a legend versus a new rising star. There's so much intrigue to the Canelo and Cotto fight. I think that will be the next one that we'll see, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it. After that, maybe Gennady Golovkin at 160. Gennady Golovkin is, the bad boy in the sport these days. He's just, plowing through guys, beating them up, beating them down. But what happens when somebody backs him up? What happens when somebody hits him with a good solid shot that he feels? What's going to happen when he's fighting against another brick wall, so to speak? I guess we'll have to, wait and see what happens in the near future. But I'm thinking that the future is looking really bright for Miguel Cotto in the near future for him in regards to his boxing career.